Good morning friend, welcome back to information technology lesson number 1, basic of information technology. In this today's lectures you are going to learn computer software. The computer software can be classified in two types, that is application software and system software. So let's start. Type of software: applications and system software, operating system for a personal computer, operating system for mobile phone, and finally you are going to learn introduction to GNU or Linux operating systems. So let's start. What is application software or the types of software? In that, first is application software. The application software is a program or group of program designed for end user. Application software also called user programs. It includes programs like database programs, word processor, web browser, presentation software, spreadsheet, etc. Means all these programs we daily use, that programs are included in application software. What are the daily application we use? For typing we use Microsoft Word, for calculation we use Microsoft Excel, for presentation we use PowerPoint presentations, for database we use database access. So these are the application software comes in the application software program. So application software is a program or group of program designed for end user. End user means the people, the person who use. So that program called as the application software, and this software runs under the system software. If the system software not runs properly, no use of the application software, because system software required to run the computer. Now let's see what is system software and what is its use. System software is a set of instructions required for a computer to work. This software required for a computer to work, for example your Windows operating systems, Linux operating system. This today I want to learn Linux operating systems. Many year you are using the Windows operating systems. So these are the program that allows different applications and various components of a hardware such as monitor, printer, mouse, keyboard, etc. to communicate with each other. In short, system software required to run the computer. If the system software is not there in your computer means physical components only. Means the CPU, monitor, keyboard. These are the physical components. To put a live in the computer systems require system software. Means Windows or the Linux operating systems or any other operating systems which will allow to work on the computer. For example, DOS operating system, Windows operating system, Mac operating system, Unix, Linux. These are the operating systems runs the computer. That's why you are able to work on the computers. So in short, there are two type of software: application software and the system software. Application software works under the system software, and system software required to run the computer. Let us learn more about operating systems. A computer will not be able to function correctly without an operating systems. Means the operating systems required to run the computer. Otherwise, it will be not able to function correctly without operating systems. It only the physical components of the computer system. An operating system is a software program that empowers the computer's hardware to communicate and operate with the computer software. And the operating system boots up the computer and makes sure that everything is operational. That the work of the operating system. The operating system is also what runs the cell phone and most of the electronic devices. Now most of the electronic devices, every mobile there is operating system now this day. So now the cell phone and the any other electronics device will find the operating systems. The operating system usually comes preloaded. on any computer. Wherever you are purchasing any computer, that may be desktop, that may be laptop, by default operating systems is there. When you start the computer, first run the operating systems, and then you can work on the computer. And to work on the computer require application software. Only system software is there in a computer will not able to work, but in under the system software there are the application software. That's why we are installing the MS Office. The MS Office, what are the programs comes in the MS Office, that is called the application software. That means Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Access, or any other software we can install after once we purchase the computer. For example, Tally, uh, then Acrobat readers, Photoshop. These are the different application software works under the system software. The most of the people use the operating system that comes with their device by default, and it is necessary to use licensed operating system and not a copied or a pirated one. As I told you the last lectures, open source and the closed source software we have learned. So open source software work long life. This software does not cost in 1 rupee also. For this is given you to free to use. And these softwares like Linux operating systems, as well as the for Microsoft Office there is a LibreOffice is there. Comparing both softwares, they will do the work same. Only the user interface will be little bit different. The look will be little bit different. Okay. But whenever you are using, you must use the legal one software in your computer. Do not use the pirated one. Pirated one means copied one, that you should not use in your computer system. If you are using that, after some days or after a month, it will get corrupt. So there are many open source operating systems available on the web which are freely downloadable, and it is advisable to use those operating system instead of pirated one. Instead of pirated one means, pirated means what? Now Windows we are using legally? No, we are not using legally, because Windows we not purchase. If you are going to purchase the Windows license copy, require 13,000 14,000 rupees for Windows 7, 8 or 10 if you are going to purchase that. But nobody is like to purchase, but instead of purchasing, what they are doing, they are copying that software and making the copy of it and installing. That is called the pirated one. The pirated one software will not work for long life, and after some time you are going to format your systems. Your computer will not work properly. So instead of using that pirated one, we can use the open source operating system. And this open source operating system means Linux. In Linux many operating systems are there. Ubuntu is there, Linux Mint is there, Linux Beta is there, many are there. So this operating system we can use in our computer to work is more efficiently and long life. So my dear students, you are going to find out the list out the open source and closed source software. The open source software and the closed source software. As I spoke about it, open source software does not cost in 1 rupee also, but it is given you to free to use. But closed source software you are going to pay the money. You have to purchase this, and this software called as the closed source software. For example, Windows, Photoshop, CorelDRAW, Tally. These are the closed source software which using now this day regularly. But open source software for alternative for this Windows, Linux is there. For MS Office, LibreOffice is there. Open source Office also is there. WPS Office also is there. For the Photoshop, there is a GIMP software is there. For the CorelDRAW, Inkscape also is there. So Inkscape, GIMP, LibreOffice, WPS, Linux, these are the open source. The closed source are there. Windows is there, MS Office is there, Photoshop is there, CorelDRAW is there. These are the open source software. So my dear student, you have to make the list of open source software as well as the closed source software. Now we are going to see the operating system for personal computer, for means PC, which are the operating systems we use. So let's start. The first operating system we earlier days we are using, that is the DOS. So what is the full form of DOS? The full form of DOS is DIX operating systems. This operating systems was working on the DIX, and it was the dominated operating systems for microcomputer in the 1980s and the early 1990s. When we learn this type of operating systems are there, we did not know the Windows. The Windows comes in 95, 90 that time, but the first Windows come. But before that Windows was there, but Windows with the command. So for working with the DOS, the user need to know how to input the command using the command prompt window. Means everything on this operating systems we have to give the command every time. Means whatever the commands are there that we are going to learn, then we are going to create a file, then we are going to copy the file, then we can rename the file. So suppose you want to create a file, copy command you have to use. To copy the file, copy command we have to use. To rename the file, rename command you have to use. To open the file, type command here we have to use. Now in this window, not like that. Windows, this is not a command base, but it is a graphical user interface, and this is character user interface. DOS is a totally character user interface. That's why the command base it is. On the prompt we are going to type the command. Suppose you are going to create a new file, copy command. Suppose you want to open the file, type command you are going to use. Suppose you are going to copy the file, copy command you are going to use. So all everything we have to work in the command. So that's why it is called the DIX operating systems. And earlier day the computers were based on the DIX operating system. After that the Windows come. Now second operating system is Windows. Now Windows is a series of operating systems and that are designed by the Microsoft. Now see, the Windows is a series of operating system and that are designed by Microsoft. And the first two version of the Windows operating systems introduced in 1985 and 1987 respectively. 1985 and 1987 respectively, and were primitive. Primitive means command base. This window was there in command base. When we learn the window, that time on the DOS prompt we are going to type win and the colon we are going to type and press the enter key. This command we type, then the window start. Now this day you are learning that window, you are getting the start button there. You have to click on the start button, the menu appears, and then you can search any program over there. But we are not learn like that, because there we have to start the window, we have to type the command win and press the enter key, then the window start. When we learned that time, Windows version was 3.1 was there. After that Windows 95 come, then Windows 97, then Windows 2000, Millennium, XP, Windows NT, then Windows 7, then Windows 8, Windows in between 2000 also was there, and now Windows 10 also is there in market. Windows 16 also is available now. So many Windows operating systems are available now. But Windows is one only operating system, but it has the different versions available. As I told you, 95, then 2000, Me, XP, Windows 7, Windows 8, Millennium, networking, and now right now Windows 10 also now you are using. So these are the versions of the Windows, but Windows operating system will remain same. Windows, what you learn, what we had learned that time 3.1, after that we are using Windows 95 onward. Now Windows 10 we did not go for any course. But once you learn any operating system, that will remain same, only the look of the operating system will change. So the Windows is now popular operating systems. Everybody likes the Windows because Windows is designed nicely. That's why the people likes Windows. But the Linux also operating systems is there, and this is also very good operating system like a Windows. Next operating system the peoples use for the Mac, this Apple corporations that registers operating system is called the Mac OS. Apple phones having these operating systems. Apple laptop, if you are going to see the Mac netbook and all, there you will get the Mac OS operating systems. It is registered by the Apple. The next operating system now mostly we are using for the web is the Chrome operating system. The Chrome OS is an open source operating systems. As you know that I spoke about it, open source means you can modify the contents of these operating systems. You can change the contents of these operating systems, and this Chrome OS is an open source operating system created by Google to create a better computing experience for people who spend most of their time on the web. Now this day you are spending your time on the web to searching different type of content on the internet, and you are using this operating system that is called the Chrome operating system. The next is Unix. Unix was a trademark in 1969 by a group of AT&T employees at Bell Labs as a multitasking and multi-user computer operating systems. This Unix is a multi-user computer operating system and multitasking. Now look at this window. Window is not a multi-user operating system, but it has a multitasking. Multitasking means was same time you can use more than one application. For example, suppose you want to do the painting in Windows, you can open the paint. Simultaneously, you can write a letter to your friend by using the Microsoft Word or the this WordPad. You can open the WordPad, you can open the paint. Means simultaneously you can work in the paint and you can work on the WordPad or the Word. That is called a multitasking. But multi-user means at a time more than one user can work on that operating system called as a multi-user, and Windows is not a multi-user. So Unix is a multi-user operating system. More than one user can work at a time. So that is called as the multi-user, and the Linux also the same. Now we are going to learn about the next operating system that is called Linux. And Linux is an also open source operating systems and multi-user. The benefit of this operating system is allow you to work more than one user at a time. Multi-user operating system. Multi-user can access system resources like a memory, RAM, application program at the same time. Not like a window allow only the one multitasking, not a multi-user. On window at a time one person can work, but on a Linux more than one person can work at a time, and it is a multi-programming operating system, and it is very similar to the other operating systems such as Windows, and a source code is available to the public. That's why it is called the open source. We can edit the code of these operating systems, we can design how we want these operating systems. So Linux is a open source operating systems. This year you are going to learn Linux. Many year you are learning the Windows, and you are familiar with the Windows, that's why you like the Windows. But once you familiar with this Linux operating system, you will forget to use the Windows operating system. Then you will not like the Windows, but you will like the Linux, because Linux having more feature than the Windows, and it has features multitasking as well as the multi-user as well as the multi-programming, and this is a very famous operating system in the world, and it is available for the user to change the code of that operating system. So how the user want to design this operating system, he can make the changes in this operating system. But the Windows we are not able to change anything, because that is a closed source operating system, all right reserved with the owner can change its content. But Linux, no. Linux, many people are daily using this Linux operating system to make changes and make more user friendly operating systems. So these are the different operating systems we can use in personal computers. So what are the operating system we have learned in the personal computer? First is DOS, second is Windows, third one is Mac OS, fourth one Chrome OS, fifth Unix, and sixth one is the Linux. So these are the operating system we use in the personal computer. Now we are going to see what are the operating system we use in the mobile phone. Sometimes the questions asks, many times I ask the student, so which operating system you are using in mobiles? The answer I get, definitely Samsung mobile I use, Nokia I use, Vivo I use, or any other mobiles. Still you most of the students, they did not know what is there in the mobiles. The mobile work or mobile functions properly with the operating system. We did not know. Still most of the students, they did not know what is there in the mobile. They talk about the brand. So instead of talking about the brand, we must know what is there in the right now in the smartphone. We call the smartphone because it work like your computer, and in the smartphone there is a operating system. So there are many different operating system for mobile phones are Android, Asha, Blackberry, iOS, and Windows Phone. So these are the different phones are there available in the market. Now first we are going to see the Android. Now Android is a free and open source operating system provided by Google, and it is most popular OS amongst all other operating systems. Now these operating systems you are using in your mobile, and it is very famous comparing to the other operating systems. Now if you're going to compare with the Windows, now see Windows Mobile, how many people is using Windows Mobile? No one is using Windows Mobile. Most of the people are using the Android, and the Android is having the free and open source operating system and provided by the Google, and a lot of features are there in the Android. That's what the people likes Android than the Apple phone, or the BlackBerry, or the Asha operating system is there in the Nokia, and then the iOS. So the Android is famous one operating system in the right now in the mobile. Second one is the Asha. It is used in Nokia phone, and it is a closed source operating system. Mean this is not a open source. Means no one can make changes in these operating systems. Only the owner can make changes in these operating systems. Means all right reserved with the owners. He can make changes in the operating system. We cannot. So this Asha operating system will find in the Nokia phones. Now in the BlackBerry, look at the BlackBerry now. The BlackBerry also the operating system, and it is also the closed source operating systems in the right now in the smartphone and the tablet device you will find. And we are not able to change the code of this operating system because this is also the closed source operating systems. Next is iOS. The iOS is Apple closed source operating system for Apple's iPhone, iPod Touch, iPad, and second generations Apple TVs. Now this will find this operating system in the Apple's iPhone, iPod Touch, iPad, and second generation Apple TVs. Okay, so these are also the closed source operating systems you will find. The next one is Windows Phone. Now Windows Phone is developed by Microsoft as a closed source operating system for mobile phone. The Windows Phone is developed by Microsoft as a closed source operating system for mobile phone. So these are the different operating systems for mobiles are available in market. There are different type of mobiles are there. When you are going to purchase the mobile, that time you just asking the brand, this type of brand I'm going to purchase, Vivo, then Samsung, then any other brand you are talking about, but you did not know what is there in the mobile. In the mobile there is a operating system. Without operating system your smartphone will not work. Now most of the people's using the Android mobile, and after that iOS, and then the Windows phone they use, and then the BlackBerry. So these are the operating systems available in the mobile. Now we are going to learn about Linux. Introduction to GNU or the Linux. Now what is Linux? As you know that Linux is an operating system and it is open source, but we are going to see in details what is this. GNU or the Linux is a family of operating system and that are created by various companies, organizations, and individuals, and it is created by using free software philosophy. Free software philosophy, and this means that GNU or the Linux operating systems are usually free of charge, free to distribute, and they are open source. Linux is not like a Windows. As I told you, the Windows is a closed source software. You have to purchase it. Without purchasing you are not able to use, and while purchasing it will cost more than 10,000 Windows operating system, but Linux is given you to free to use. The both operating systems work will remain same, so why should we use the this Windows purchasing 10,000 rupees? Suppose if you are going to purchase one computers and that computer cost more than 1 lakh rupees, now this day you are getting the desktop computer within the 15,000 rupees, 16,000, maximum 20,000 rupees, but all illegal software you are getting in that. First one is the Windows, second one is MS Office, and many other software you are installing in your computer. If you are going to calculate of this all software cost, then your computer will legally you are going to purchase, and computer will cost more than 1 lakh rupees. Now calculate one by one. Now see, in Windows more than 10,000 rupees means minimum we can catch 10,000 rupees. Then the MS Office again 13,000 rupees, 23,000. Then the peoples are using Tally, Corel Draw, and this will cost more than 10 20,000 means 45,000 is over. Again you need your Adobe Acrobat Reader require, Photoshop require, or Marathi software require. All these things are there in your desktop right now. So your desktop will cost around more than lakh rupees, and nobody likes to pay more, lakh rupees, and they are enjoying with the 12,000 rupees, 15,000 rupees the desktop. You also enjoying with the 12,000, 13,000 rupees desktop computers. My dear students, this all softwares is installed in your computer that all illegal pirated one, and you are using the pirated, and it's not a good to use a pirated software, because we did not pay 1 rupee to this type of software and we are enjoying. So instead of using this type of software, we can use the open source software, and our computer can work for long life. The computer will not give us a trouble, so no need to format it daily or once in a month. So the open source software, the Linux is one operating system, is a very good operating system. In the Linux you will find many operating systems. One of the famous operating system is their Ubuntu. Now this means that the GNU or the Linux operating systems are usually free of charge and free to distribute. We can easily distribute with the someone else. Nobody is going to ask. But Windows, no. Windows we cannot freely distribute, because when we are copying and distributing others, we are making the illegal copy of that. Illegal copy making and distributing others. This is not a good. So and they are open source. The Linux is open source. Open source is when a person can view and modify the code for piece of software. In this software we can modify the code, the person can view the code, and this type of software called as the open source software. And this is important because by having the ability to look and audit the code, user can be sure that the program does not perform malicious tasks. It also allows the user to program their own features or fix problems and help the developer, and this result in higher quality code and more secure program. And this is why Linux is used as the predominantly backbone of the internet. Most websites that user visit run on Linux. Most website that user daily visit, that all runs on Linux. In fact, of as 2018, all the world's fastest 500 computer runs on Linux. All the world's fastest 500 computer runs on Linux. Now imagine it, the Linux is famous everywhere. Most of the people are using in the world Linux, and now this year also we are also going to use the Linux, because Linux is free of cost. Open source software is given us to use by the government, because by using this type of software we can save millions of rupees here by purchasing the closed source software. In this one more example I'm going to give, the this year you're going to learn that Ubuntu is one of the most popular Linux distributions. We are going to learn under the Linux operating system this year. So the next lecture we are going to learn the Ubuntu operating systems, how to install on your computer. We are going to learn in the next lectures how to install on the Windows. We're not going to uninstall the Windows and install the Linux over there, but simultaneously we can use the Linux as well as the Windows. So in the next lectures I will show you how to install Ubuntu on your computer, the installations procedures. So by using virtual machine we can install the Ubuntu, and whenever we want Windows we can use, and whenever we want Linux, that we can use the Linux operating system. So my dear students, I hope you understood all the operating system which we are use in personal computer as well as the mobile phone. So make the list of open source as well as the closed source software in your notebook. I'm going to ask this question in the assignments. I have already told you what are the open source softwares are there, what are the closed source software are there, but you are going to find some open source software and the closed source software, because if you found, you will understand which software I use, that is closed source software or the open source software. What is the difference between closed source software and the open source software? To learn this is very important, because we are learning information technology and we did not know what type of computer I am using, what type of operating system I am using, what type of application software I am using, what is called system software, what is called application software, why I need system software in a computer, what is the main important work in the application software in the computers. So all these things, if you learn properly, you will get all the questions answers, and then you will understand information technology. Otherwise, the information technology for sake of name you are going to learn, that will remain in your book. So my dear students, find out open source software, closed source software in the application software as well as the system software. Which are the system softwares are there, that is called as the open source as well as the closed source software, and which are the application software are there in that, that is called as the open source as well as the closed source software. Thank you.